Hello, hockey fans. Austin here with another video. And in celebration of the rematch between Canada versus the United States of America at the Four Nations for the Four Nations Cup, both teams in the finals. And after that first game that they had a few nights ago, where it was just absolute chaos, mayhem, bedlam, whatever you want to call it, I wanted to talk about some of my most favorite Team Canada versus Team USA moments that I've been able to witness growing up. And I wanted to share those thoughts with you. I'm going to have some pictures. I'll have a little slideshow going as I discuss a lot of the games. And then, of course, for those of you who never got to see some of the games that I talk about, because I know a lot of you that do tune in weren't around in 2002 for the Salt Lake City Olympics, that sort of thing, I will leave links to the highlights for all of those games in the description below for you. That way you can go and watch the highlights of those games yourself and, maybe find just as much joy as I did when I watched them when I was younger. Of course, because I'm only 31 years old, I'm not talking about any game between Canada versus the U.S. that happened before 2002, because in 2002, I was barely old enough to remember Canada versus the U.S. in the men's and women's Olympic gold medal games. Before that, ain't no way. I have no memories of the 1998 Olympics. I have no memories of the 1996 Canada Cup or World Cup, whatever it was called, where there was other Team Canada versus Team USA fights. So that won't be part of this video. If you want to see those, of course, obviously the highlights are all over YouTube. But I really do want to know what your favorite moments are between these two powerhouses in the hockey world. Please let me know in the comment section below. And also, if you end up enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and make sure to subscribe if you really liked it, as Canada gets ready to face the US once again in a winner-take-all championship type match. Best on best, whatever you want to call it. I'm very excited for the game Thursday night. But without further ado, let's discuss some of my favorite Team Canada versus Team USA moments of all time. Starting off with, of course, that first game of the Four Nations between these two teams, where there was, there was 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. And if you tuned into the live stream, I also have some clips uploaded of my reaction to those fights. It was just mayhem in the best way possible. It was literally war on ice. Both teams trying to send a message. Both teams trying to, assert themselves at the Four Nations. And this game right here specifically, I am bought in 100% to the Four Nations forever moving forward. I absolutely will refuse to ever watch another All-Star game. If the NHL continues to put on a product like this, what we're witnessing in Boston and Montreal right now, and what will likely be just an unbelievable Four Nations Cup final match between these two teams, I don't want to say that we're spoiled as hockey fans, and it's very rare that, Bettman and the NHL spoils us as fans, but I would say that we have been spoiled. This has been some of the best hockey I have ever seen, and like I said, there was the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, just unbelievable. You have Kachuk and Hagel. Brandon Hagel, by the way, has turned into one of my favorite players. Absolutely love Brandon Hagel. I love the energy that he brings to this team. And for those of us who wanted maybe Mark Scheifele in there instead of Hagel, you know what? The way Hagel brings himself to the rink, the way he talks with the media, and the way he gets fired up for his country, I like that a lot. And that first matchup was incredible. You see Charlie McAvoy in the background here. He unfortunately will not play in the finals due to injury. I hope he's doing okay. But this is just one of the most memorable games, and this will go down as maybe one of the most memorable games I've ever seen between these two teams. It doesn't get much better than this. And there's Sam Bennett with Brady Tkachuk. Love to see that. Next game I want to talk about is the men's gold medal game in the 2002 Olympics. Canada ended up winning that game 5-2. Canada in the preliminary round did not do so great. They were 1-1-1. There was a lot of question marks. They had a negative goal differential. You had Wayne Gretzky construct the team. You had Pat Quinn coaching. A lot of question marks. The team took a little while to gel. But once they started to gel, they really took over the entire tournament, and they absolutely dominated Team USA on their home soil. They won 5-2. And then, of course, one of the most memorable moments of all time was Mario Lemieux's through the legs. There was a puck that was being sent towards him. I want to say it was from, I can't remember which defenseman, so I'm not going to say because I don't want to get it wrong. But there was a pass that Mary Lemieux, he let through his legs and he let it go right to Paul Kariya, who we see in this photo, absolutely roofing it on Richter, who was in the crease for Team USA. And one of the most memorable moments of all time in Canadian hockey history. And I was only 7 years old watching this game. I remember distinctly watching it at home with my dad. We lived in a little trailer out in the country in my hometown, and it was just one of the things that really made me passionate about hockey as a kid. I was in minor hockey already. Of course, I was an Oilers fan as a kid, but this was one of those moments where, as a 7-8-year-old, it's hard to, it's like the movie Inside Out, core memories, how a core memory will form and it kind of shapes who you are as you start to get older. This game right here is kind of what did that for me. Just an unbelievable game from the men. You have Simone Gagne there. Look at that. Love to see that. And then, of course, the women, they also took care of business at the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City. They defeated Team USA by a score of 3-2, but there was a lot of different storylines and a lot of different narratives with this specific game. If you have not seen it, please watch the Hayley Wickenheiser post-game interview after Team Canada won. What she says about Team USA, they supposedly, I can't say this is true or not because I have no idea if it's ever been corroborated, but she goes on, says that Team USA had a Canadian flag that they were stomping on in their dressing room, which I really don't think happened, but who knows? The narratives, the things that these players do to motivate themselves, motivate the rest of the group in that locker room. Team Canada, they managed to find a way to win 3-2 in a game where they also were penalized 13 times. Team USA, guess how many times they were penalized? I'll give you a second. 6. The penalties were 13-6, where Canada was penalized 13 times and Team USA was only penalized 12 times. There was a clear officiating bias going on to try and get Team USA back in the game and possibly even win this hockey game. It was so clear at the time, even as a kid watching that game, you could tell that it was just... I don't like talking about how things are rigged because I just think officiating is bad in general, but this was a situation where there was clear officiating bias. The storylines from the women's game in 2002, just incredible scenes there. But the women, they did pull it out. And again, this is one of those things where I think women's hockey doesn't get talked about enough. This was one of the best games of all time for this country, and it really set the standard for Team Canada in the women's hockey against the U.S., in championship moments where Team Canada, this was their beginning of 4 straight gold medals. So you love to see that. There's another photo of them on the ice. You love it. Now, here's a moment that doesn't get talked about very much in the Canada versus USA sphere. The World Juniors. Now, this is the only photo I have of that 2007 World Juniors game. Canada versus the United States. It goes to a shootout, and Jonathan Toews, 3 shootout goals to get Canada past the United States and into the gold medal game. This was the semifinals, I believe, and this is, again, one of those games where I'm a teenager and it just Captain Clutch, Jonathan Toews right there, and this is before he had his stamp with the Chicago Blackhawks, mini dynasty that they ended up having. But this showed the type of player that Toews was. Absolute ice in his veins and super clutch for Jonathan Toews. A great game and a great moment for Canada, especially at the World Juniors. Next up, of course, we cannot talk about Canadian moments against the Team USA without bringing up the 2010 Olympic Games in Vancouver. Home soil. Us Canadians were absolutely spoiled in Vancouver, and Sidney Crosby, the most memorable goal. I'll let the photos do the talking. There's nothing I can say. We've all seen this. We've all heard it. We know what Chris Cuthbert's call was, and it's just something that we'll never forget. And something that I'll also never forget is the women also winning gold on home soil against Team USA. The women just, again, dominating. Marie-Philip Poulin, she bursts into the scene. Just incredible scenes for Team Canada. And yeah, absolutely love to see that. The fact that the women and the men each won gold on home soil, just truly special. Truly special. The women's hockey team should get a lot more love just in general. They have just, Team USA versus Team Canada when it comes to women's hockey, I would say Team USA women's are usually, on paper, a lot of the times the better team. But when it comes down to the biggest games on the world's biggest stage, whether it's the Olympics or World Championships, Team Canada always finds a way. And as a Canadian, love to see it. But Team USA, they're getting there, and they have won a gold recently in the Olympics. So you know what? This rivalry will only get better and better and better. There's Haley Wickenheiser in Vancouver. Love that. Now, the 2014 Sochi Olympics. This is, again, Team Canada was so dominant in Sochi. And in this game specifically, Canada versus the U.S. in the semifinals, Canada wins 1-0. And for my Oilers fans, you can see Corey Perry celebrating with Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn, he scored the only goal of the game. I remember this game was on at I want to say I think it was 9 or 10 a.m. Alberta time. And I was working at Sobeys at the time, and I got my work done early, and I left. I went to a lounge because if any of you remember in 2014, Canadian bars were allowed to open earlier because of the time difference with Sochi. So I went to a bar at 10 a.m., had about 4 of these giant Molson Canadian hockey skate mugs. I want to say they were 32-ounce mugs. I could be wrong, but Molson Canadian, there was a big promotion, and if you bought one of those ice skate mugs, you got a piece of Team Canada merch. Because I bought 4 of them, I ended up getting a scarf, I ended up getting a toque, and a couple other things. I hardly remember everything that I got because of how much beer I drank. I don't condone that, by the way, for my underage viewers. Please don't do what I did, and also focus on work at all times. But I left work early, watched this game in a bar. I was so hyped, drank so much beer, just unbelievable scenes. And for Team Canada, in 2014, they were so dominant, they only gave up 3 goals in the entire tournament. The entire tournament, Team Canada only gave up 3 goals, and of course, they shut out Team USA in the semifinals, and then shut out Sweden in the gold medal game. Just incredible. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Team Canada women's team at Sochi. And this game should get talked about a lot more as well. I'm trying to give a lot of love to the women's team because they have been part of some of the greatest moments and memories that I have of this rivalry between these two teams. But the women's team, they were down 2-0 late in the third period. And then Canada, they get one interesting fluky goal with about 5 minutes left in the third. And then with about a minute and a half left, they pull the goalie, and Team USA, they shoot the puck down the ice. And for my American friends, I am so sorry. This is going to induce nightmares. Team USA, they hit the goalpost with a minute and a half left. Team Canada, they grab the puck, they go up, they get a face-off in Team USA zone, and Marie-Philippe Poulin, who is just clutch for Canada, she has been her entire career. She ties the game at 2 with about a minute left, and then she is even more clutch in the overtime as she also scored the game winner, sealing gold for Canada. Just one of the craziest moments ever, and we will end it off with a picture of Sidney Crosby in Vancouver waving that Canadian flag. Those were just, some of my all-time favorite moments. I just wanted to talk about it. This is just one of those videos where sometimes I just want to talk hockey. I know this is a predominantly Oilers-based channel, and this video doesn't have a lot of flow, doesn't have any editing, doesn't have any special effects or anything like that. I just like talking hockey. I like sitting in front of the camera. I enjoy talking about moments and experiences that I've had, and I hope that you at least maybe enjoyed it. I hope if you're an American fan, I'm very sorry that this video was very biased, but it's not my fault that Canada happens to beat you guys a lot in these moments. We will see what happens Thursday. We have USA versus Canada. Thursday morning, I will have a pregame report up. Thursday night, I'm going to let everyone know now, and I'll also let everyone know in the pregame as well. I won't be doing a live stream. I'm going to be watching the game with my family, and I will have a post-game reaction, of course, no matter what happens. This was a game that I wanted to live stream, but someone in the comment section made a really good point. The only game that I've live streamed for the Four Nations, Team Canada lost, and that was that first matchup between these two teams. So you know what? I'm going to spend the game with family and friends watching Canada versus the U.S. I hope you all do the same. Or if there's other creators, I know the Steve Dangle Podcast Network, Steve Dangle will be streaming this, and there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people watching. Obviously, highly recommend Steve, one of my favorite creators on the platform. Whoever you end up watching the game with, I hope you have an absolute blast. I hope this game, that we're about to have between these two teams is just as memorable as some of the ones that I just talked about. And if I missed anything, if there's any specific moments between Canada and the US, men or women's hockey, that you think that I should have touched on, should have talked about, should have mentioned, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your support humbles me. There's been a lot of support during the Four Nations, and I'm excited for what the future has in store on this channel as we climb towards 5,000 subscribers. So before you head out, make sure you tell someone that you love them. And as always, fight like a kid, fight like Ben. Let's go, Canada.